Hello and welcome to the Stampscapes channel 2022 year-end review, if we'll call it that. I don't know what to call it. But I started formatting a lot of my scenes over the past few days, just putting them into a card format, mostly postcard format. I don't think I did any folded cards this time. Just as a background, sometimes that gives you a little bit more I don't know, freedom to, make the borders and whatnot, whatever size you want them to, rather than having to conform to a folded format, which would probably require, an 8.5 by 11 type of paper. And I'm starting to run out of certain types of papers, so I kept it pretty basic here. I go with a lot of the papers that I have a ton of because papers become so expensive. I used to get it so cheap, going to Kelly Paper and getting a lot of types of clearance section pieces, but the clearance prices these days are more expensive, I think, than the full price of old. And that was like a year and a half ago, so I can't imagine now. But anyways, I thought I'd flip through this really fast and just take a look at things. I think everything's from 2022. I can't remember for sure because there were so many of them. I don't know. I thought I would be formatting 20 cards, but I don't know how many it ended up being. And this isn't even I'm not going to be going over the mirror cards. I'll have to do that for another video sometime. But I thought I'd go through this, and I'll try to make it fairly quick, but I thought I would talk about some of these pieces. And a couple of the pieces I thought I might do like a little minor tweak with the white paint pen or something like that, like on the monster maps. There's some types of things that you can look at with, from perspective, of having, a few months in between and not looking at the pieces and saying, oh, okay, this thing needs a little bit more of whatever here. Okay, so this one right here, there's this big open area up here. And on this one here, I'm going to finalize with a quote stamp of the Scenic Sentiments and plop it right up here. This one was one where I was talking about the I think it was colored pencils with this covered bridge, and I realized, man, this covered bridge right here was definitely a favorite for 2022. I can't believe how many times I used this stamp right here, especially the larger size. I don't know, maybe it's because of the deciduous trees and everything like that, and we can go for a lot of contrast with the imagery itself. So I don't know, I just used it a ton. But I still need to finish off this one right here. Hello, Candy, Linda, Kat, good to see you. Thanks for joining in here. Taking a look at these scenes from this past season, I guess. It's been a season of stamping and exploration for sure. But anyways, this one right here, it was using a lot of the Alto Cumulus Large here and really layered there, giving it that, I don't know, kind of textured, varied look up there, just with multiple values of the, no, cloud, not Alto Cumulus, this one's Cloud Space here, which I need to use more often because I really like the look of this one. And I don't know, I need to incorporate that into more pieces. I just need to have the stamps out, and then I tend to use it, a lot. All right, so this was an 8.5 by 11 piece right here, and I've since stopped doing like full 8.5 by 11s. I'm cutting it down like by an inch or, a half inch off, but, off the length and width, just so I can format into a different size. But even if you go full size, and if you're giving the piece away or something like that, I think it's a good idea to mount this. I don't know, someone posted that they want to buy this one. So what I did here was I just spray mounted. So anything 8.5 by 11 and up, I used a spray mount just because, using my tape runner, first of all, it would take a ton of tape on something like this because you don't want a little bit of a ripple in here. If someone's going to frame it, it's a moot point because it's going to flatten out anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. But I just think having this on something a little bit more substantial is good for whatever. And I would send this out like this at 11 by 17, full, double tabloid size, because they can do whatever they want with this. If they're going to have it framed, they can use this border around there, or they can cut it down to 8.5 by 11 and then just go with a, standard size document frame or something like that. Photo frames tend to be 8 by 10, but you know, there's tons of 8.5 by 11 types of frames out there. Hello, Rhonda. You can find semi-gloss cardstock that works. Every semi-gloss cardstock that I've had, it has been the same, Candy. Where have you looked? And have you used the links up on the website that I have? I don't know what's around. I'm just asking that because there might be some, you know, links that I have where it's no longer available. But I've used Hamilco, oh, the Mohawk, Everyday Digital, which is most of the stuff that I'm using these days. But the Hamilco, just plain cardstock off of Amazon, works just fine. There's like zero difference. There was a really great one called Appleton Papers that's no longer around that's dull. But look for semi-gloss, but also look under dull, satin, and silk. You know, so you might be able to find those. But I don't know. I've been able to find semi-glosses just about everywhere. But the Hamilco one, their gloss is more like a semi-gloss, and between the semi-gloss and that, there's almost no difference. Okay, so this one right here, using the art foamies right here, and formatted this. Just about everything I have is going to be formatted with a like a 16th of an inch. I don't know how that is in centimeters, but or millimeters, but there's this little border around it because I generally want to enhance or pick up some of the white elements in these pieces. A lot of times it's a little, you know, my little white highlights with a pen like this. So this is 0.7 millimeters. So on something like this, I mean, I could have went with a little bit of a larger border, but these are the types of things that I want. That little border, you know how you do, you do your framing and stuff, and you use a color to pick up something that you want to emphasize or pull out of your piece. Well, on mine, it tends to be the textures, and the lightest, most contrasty texture is usually a highlight that's been applied with a 0.7 millimeter pen, or certain things like those little splatter painted stars up in the sky like that. And it just, I don't know, I don't have to think about it too much. It'd be a little bit more dynamic if I put a little bit more time into my framing here, but I don't know, that one works for me. I just pull out the highlights. That I'm into details, as you know, a lot of you know, so that tends to be the thing that I want to highlight. And like I said, you know, I used to, sometimes I'd go with a, you know, different color star dream or something like that around here that might pull out, you know, some sort of color out of here that I want to kind of really showcase. But, you know, papers, I don't know if they've doubled in price over the last couple of years, but I don't want to put like a full page piece of star dream on something like that anymore. You know, I used to because it was like cheap, you know, especially because I'd never paid full price at those Kelly Paper clearance sales. So I don't know, it's crazy. But anyways, this one is going to the owner of Art Foamies. They really want this one, so I formatted it. This is just, I have a pack of 200 sheets of super dark blue, almost black, glossy cardstock. So that gives you your kind of black lacquer frame type of look. You know, it's pretty standard in terms of certain types of framing. I don't know, whatever assignments. Hello, Jeannie. All right, so these were the big scenes of, I think for me, of 2022. There were different types of surfaces, but just in terms of pure stamping, I don't know, invention or something like that. I liked doing these. I learned a lot from, I don't know, compositional sequencing maybe, or something like that. I don't know what you would call it, but just really cramming in a lot of information and trying to give it some sort of cohesive narrative within each scene. Okay, so these ones I cut off, I think it was an inch off the length and width. And here I've just formatted it onto a 11 by 17. They feel so nice on just another piece of paper like this. So this is 11 by 17, the white border like that. But I thought it looks pretty decent. Just with white around there, an edge like that. It looks, and these feel so much nicer too. Get them spray mounted like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know what you guys are going to do, that have work this size, but I like cutting off that size and then putting it on something like this. So can of spray adhesive, can go a long way in terms of, I don't know, just the overall look. It took out all of the little, the minor ripples, which these really large pieces tend to develop. Hello, Marta. But anyways, I love doing these pieces like this. So we call them the Halloween maps. So it gives it kind of that feel of kind of an amusement park type of map, not to scale or anything like that, or depth or anything like that, or you could, achieve certain types of depth, but going from here to here could be, representative of, the same distance as, I don't know, something like this that goes out to the horizon, or, you know what I mean? We could have put sky down here. You know what I mean? It really opens up a lot of doors, just in terms of artistic license and working on a format like this. And I really love that. I love when we can go in and break the rules like that. I couldn't remember when I was looking through these pieces. I couldn't remember which ones I did, which one I did first and which, came after. I think this one was last, the cave here, like this. But talking about visual narrative, it's like there's always an entry point on mine. Like, someone's entering, whatever, that amusement park or that area of that amusement park. And that's a little cave right there. And, there's kind of a general type of direction and an out in each one of these pieces. So on this one right here, we go around right here and we can follow this kind of general trail, and then they are exiting right there. This one right here, I have these little eyeballs. I don't know if you can see that. Those are two little dots together like that. And I thought I could do something like that in here. Let me see something here. Let me get this box out of the way here. But what I'm doing right here, with these little types of, I don't know, whatever, flourishes, details, is that these three pieces are obviously kind of meant to be seen either in sequence or together. They could be a triptych, and displayed together. Or it could be this kind of booklet where these are 2-page spreads or something like that, and you're turning from page to page. But little things like this. Okay, so I mentioned that, you have the characters entering in, and then they're exiting. I don't know. I didn't think about it this way either, but it's kind of, if you're going into it like an amusement park or something like that, you have two adults entering like this, man and woman or something like that, but they're running as kids, so maybe it's bringing out the kids, you know what I mean, in someone when you go to, a place like this. I mean, I wasn't thinking about something like that, but I think from a narrative perspective, it really works like that. But here's what I was talking about. When you add in these little common things, so I'm adding these little eyeballs into each one of these places like that. The more of those little types of needle and threads that you run through either sequential pieces or just related pieces, the more visual continuity you'll have between each piece. Each piece is so different compositionally and structurally that it's good to have, these are done in the same color. They have the same kind of textural variations in it. But if you can have little narrative, little things like this from piece to piece, now I put it right up here. Okay, people might not notice it, but I think subconsciously it kind of ties everything together a little bit more, or a lot more, the more of those types of things you have in there. And it could be just something that's really subtle like that. Glad you like the monster maps, Candia. Those are really fun. Linda did a lot of those. Linda B here. I really learned a lot from those, and I'm taking it I take it that you did too, Linda, because your pieces were amazing. The holiday ones too that you just did too were really cool. All right, so here's a couple pieces right here that I dug out. Okay, now a lot of these pieces too, I just spray sealed too. When I finished them after whatever the live streams, a lot of these are just in a box. So again, just that little bit of a border like that, but see that little white border like that? It really captures, brings out some of those little splashing types of things, with, the Dr. Martens, the paint pen and everything like that. Which is, ideally maybe I'd have another like a bluish tinge that's in between this white and this dark right here border. But again, that little bit of a border like that, I don't know what else to say, but it picks up the general width of those little dots like that. Now, I don't want to go like a micro millimeter or something like that. That would be too small. So it has to be somewhat visible, but I don't think it's distracting either like that. But like these little borders around here. See this one right here, I go with a little bit of a thicker border, than this one right here. And this one kind of picks up the width of those windows right there, okay, in the lighthouse. So, and this is just a larger piece too, so you can go with a little bit of a larger piece like that. But I think this really finished off the piece, and it just feels really substantial like this. I need to go back in and date these too, because I'll never remember. But I don't know. They tend to be given away, so... Anyways. All right, so large pieces like this, really cut down. Again, the Art Foamies piece, I just did the videos where I tweaked these ones around, giving this kind of a greater... I don't know, floor in here for the trees. It was too bare in here, so I went back and I increased the contrast in the snow a little bit, but hopefully it still reads kind of as snow. If you add in too much contrast, you're saying that it's not a very reflective surface, so trying to find that trade-off between definition and whatever, I don't know, a realistic type of lighting, I guess you can say, is good. Hello, Slow Crafter, Froggy Fresh. Good to see you. But I know on this one right here, I'm still thinking about some little types of, snowy details. Like I kind of crept that snow up the side of these. I think I can go a little bit more in a couple of these areas just to push that contrast one step far. But I thought these trees looked really good. I put some extra black pigment ink over the top of it to increase the contrast of these ones, especially in the foreground right here. And then I spray sealed so the richness of the colored pencils are really glowing because I used a ton of colored pencils on them. But I don't know, I really like the spray seal feel. And then it has kind of a uniform texture going across this piece with that spray seal. And this is... Speaking of the semi-gloss cardstock, this is a semi-gloss cardstock. Anything that I use a lot of colored pencils on, semi-gloss cardstock. And that was something, another theme for kind of 2022. I didn't use quite as much glossy cardstock. Now, my last scene that I just did for 2022 was glossy. Just that's one of my favorite things. I don't know. I say one of my favorite things because I'm really starting to love things like colored pencils now. But another large piece with the length and width cut off an inch right there. They are Slow Crafter. They are Art Foamies versions of the Stampscapes line. So artfoamies.com, look at that size right there. 9 inches. I wrote that on there. They're not going to come with a 9-inch sign like that, but really big. You can see the size of my hand here, the size of a pen, just how large these stamps are. And I don't know, they're fun to use. They're fun to use in terms of scale. I don't think about, I totally think differently of 11 by 17 now than I did, I don't know what, 2 months ago or whatnot, I started feeling a little bit different about it with monster maps. But the monster maps, you're using traditional size stamps, right? If you have a 4.5 inch stamp, rubber stamp, that's pretty big, you know. But these pieces right here, I don't know, it feels just different working with those larger size images like that. And I was telling someone today when I did my tweaking on this, I think I have to think about these pieces differently because smaller pieces, that we work on, card sizes, 4.25 by 5.5 or 4 by 6s, your typical card size pieces. You can do something that's really for more for impact, okay? But to relate things to cards and scenes like this size, I would relate this more to a interior spread type of illustration, okay? Like the inside of a book or something like that. Where something like this would be more like book cover, okay? Or movie poster, something like that, just because they are so large. So what I did on this one is I went back in and I added a ton more of these little white flower types of formations. I can go even larger with that. I think I might add some larger little dots in here on this one and tweak this one even further. But I'm still getting used to that, because I'm used to working on small pieces and using my media in a certain manner like that. So I don't know, things are changing. From a mental aspect, I wouldn't say changing, but you have to expand on kind of your thought process. Okay, so the printable vinyls, I don't think I was using the printable vinyls in end of 2021. But these things really, these printable vinyls with the holographics and whatnot have really been an amazing surface to incorporate into scenic stamping, especially with the use of the white brilliant inks like that, because I find a lot of these, let's see, these printable vinyls to be almost, I hesitate to say unusable, but here's one. I mean, stamping a scene over something like that and black imagery over something like that, it only, the boldest of imagery are really going to stand up against something like that. So you enter the white brilliance ink because it's water-based pigment ink, and then pigment inks are very surface-oriented. These types of printable vinyls are designed to accept water-based inkjet printer inks, okay? Or I don't know if it's laser, but I don't know, it says on those packs because they're really meant for a printer, not for stamping on. But it just so happens that Brilliance ink is a water-based pigment ink. And again, it's very surface-oriented, so it adheres and it dries almost instantly on this type of surface right here. And then it opens up all kinds of possibilities for other types of media, such as hard media, such as colored pencils. It might work with something. I haven't worked with chalks or pastels on it. Someone needs to give that a try, but I would imagine to some extent you can apply like pan pastels over something like this, because it's, when I'm working over the top of this Brilliance white ink that's been applied on, let me see if you can see where all that Brilliance ink is right down here. And this is this shimmery kind of holographic printable vinyl showing. So not much of the printable vinyl showing, but we're really utilizing that printable aspect of it in the entire area down here. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if something like pan pastels can stick to this, because when you put that Brilliance ink down here, it adheres so well and doesn't really rub off for me. But I would think that it could take something like a pan pastel to a certain degree. You can't layer forever on it, I don't think, as it might. It's not going to have very much tooth in it, but it very much feels like some copy paper. You know what I mean? Like some cheap copy paper like that. But which colored pencils stick to with no problem. You know, I don't think people are going to be doing artwork on, you know, copy paper, but, you know, there's media that can stick to it, and you're going to be doing it on top of the whatever printable vinyl patterning that you get. All right, so kind of more bookmarky types of things right here. I formatted these before, so I probably went through these. I think I showed these ones recently. Just, I think these were my, I don't know if these were all my scrap pieces. This is an old favorite right here. The Star Dream Aquamarine, is it, that blue? Or, you know, it has that bluish tinge to it, but just dye-based inks. I think I might have went with a different type of ink on this time. I used to use dye-based black on here. I can't remember now what I did on this one, but it doesn't stick really well to this type of Star Dream iridescent surface right here. But then you can use it to do all these swooshy types of tonal patterns on the back, and inks blend, not blend, but they streak on here super gracefully because they're not sticking so much. You know, they're not absorbing into the paper, so you can really spread them around. You can't get it too dark though, because of that kind of resistance to moisture. You know, whatever mica or whatever's in that surface that gives it that iridescent look. I don't know, you can't really see that iridescent look on here too much. I don't know, maybe I compare it to like a flat piece of, you know, paper towel that's not going to have any sheen to it. But anyways, just an old favorite, and I really like that look right there. I would like to get something that does adhere to it a little bit better, you know, in case we do want to go, like the trees, I would prefer that the trees be a little bit darker. Yeah, check those out, Slow Crafter. There's a playlist too with just the art foamies. So if you go to you know, the Stampscapes channel, just click on videos, but then go down. I have a gazillion playlists at this point in time, but anything using the art foamies are in the art foamies playlist now. Glad you like them, Jeannie. Well, Jeannie, those things are ideal for you too, with the just the sheer percentage of larger scenes that you're doing. So a really basic scene right here. I think I did this at a convention, but here I've used my silver mirrored cardstock, which is a lot of the stuff that I was doing with the mirrored cardstock at one point in time, was just matting my pieces. But this scene right here is one of those pieces where it's really super light and pastel-y. So I used the black matte around this instead of white, because you wouldn't even be able to see the white, and there's nothing really kind of, you know, white dot, you know, dominant here that would, you know, with as far as the highlights that would be brought out. So I really like this silver around on some of these. Not on all of them, but I thought this looked pretty good with the silver like that. And that silver is really inexpensive too. So what is it? Still 60 sheets, full-size sheets for like $18. You know what I mean? That's not going to be like the Star Dream price. So matting when Star Dream was still inexpensive. So this is a little piece of gold, antique gold, I think, Star Dream or something like that around on this piece. I couldn't remember if this one was from 2021 or not, or if it was 2022. But I kept this one. I think it's 22, because I can, as I tilt this is really textured in here with, I can't remember which ones, but this one might be the Lan Ren Wang, I'm sure I'm butchering that name, acrylic paint pens. But these paint pens right here were supposed to be more, there's a higher percentage of pigment to water, I guess, because acrylics are water-based. And I wanted to see how those ones look. Oh, and this one right here, I embossed the fence on here to get extra dimensions. I don't know if you see that, but that's shiny on there. So playing around with some embossing on here. I might have embossed some of these dots too. Like if you lay down some of these dots, like that. And if you work fast enough, I mean, this is not drying super fast. You can emboss these acrylic paint pens, which are really cool. And it's perfect for kind of getting some nice shimmery dimension. I just used clear embossing powder on. I don't know if it was this one. I can't tell because this has been spray sealed. And then these are a little bit dimensional anyways, especially if you go like 5 layers of dots in there. So I can't tell. I usually can tell, but I can't tell with some of the stuff I've used this year because I might have been using it for the first time and I can't remember what I did in combination. So here's the gold foil on this one. I thought the gold foil looked pretty cool on this piece right here. And this little conjuring type of figure from 100 Proof Press. I don't remember when I did this one, but I used that lightning a few times. I just used it, I don't know, when was it? A week ago or, I don't know, maybe less than that. But I don't know, the lightning makes an appearance a few times more than I remembered from this year. But anyways, those little white dots down there brought out by this little white border. Like so. A little bit of a different color scheme on this one than what I typically go with. Okay, I really like this one right here. This was one of my favorite pieces in terms of the way it looked when formatted. So very, very little toning on this one. It's just basically everything stamped out with a black ink pad. A little bit of grayscale bordering on it and vignette, but I really like this white border on the side, but then with the silver on here like that, I thought that gave it a really good look. I'm gonna have to do more, monotone, monochromatic, grayscale pieces with this silver on this border like that. But I really like that overall feel to that. I thought it looked really elegant, but certainly one of the quicker scenes you can ever do. And this is like almost, I think this is half page right here. So. And again, this silver is really inexpensive like that. Pan pastels work nicely on iridescent cardstock. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Have you used it on the over the top of the Brilliance ink before, Linda? I'm just kind of curious if it would stick to that. I'm guessing it would. All right, this one right here. I don't remember what I did this for, but this is an octopus by, I think the company was Fistful of Stamps, which is no longer around, okay? But just the Lakeside Cove right here. And then having this kind of, I don't know, whatever, kraken or whatever coming up from the depths with that little sailboat like that. That little sailboat's from one of the, I think it's from the Island stamp set or something like that. But if you put this boat or something like that, or a fisherman with something like that coming up, it creates this instant kind of visual tension, which is always fun to do. I did it very light, to obscure it a little bit, and to make it look like it was underwater, and also having the octopus a little bit lighter. You can see the trees, the silhouettes of the trees stand out against that background pretty decently. So I don't know, this is one of those themes I've probably done, oh, I don't know, half dozen times over the years. I don't know if it was with the same octopus. I think I have 2 or 3 different octopus stamps. Maybe, I don't know, the other one might have been a squid, though, like a giant squid. Okay, now I couldn't remember when I did this one, but this one was just pulled out. I couldn't remember when I was doing those beaver dams. The beaver dams might have been the previous year or something like that. But this is vellum right here, and that's a photograph of the clouds and sky behind the vellum. So this it's just working in tons of layering right here. So these birch trees are stamped, I think, on the front of the vellum and then blocked down in the back. And then on the back of the vellum, this beaver dam was stamped. And then you block that out. And when I say blocking out, I'm just talking about you paint your bleed-proof white on those objects that you want to look opaque. Okay, so this area down here is I don't know if this needed to be blocked out because but see this photograph of this sky was probably stopped like right around in here or something like that. And it's only 4x6, so you can see right here I just had to color in some additional blue, because this is like a half-page scene right here. So I just, fudged it, and I didn't match the blue or anything like that, but I thought that was a really good look. And, I love working with vellums and this type of layering right there. You kind of have to change your mindset a little bit in terms of visual depth, in terms of your sequencing. So it's like, okay, we're not usually stamping over things and blocking it out like that. So it's like one layer of depth, two layer of depths, okay? Because front of vellum, back of vellum, and then in the back of the vellum is the sky right in there. So it's just a fun way to work. And again, these leaves in here, if you didn't see these ones done, we're done with the acrylic paint pens. And some of them might have been applied in the back of the vellum to give it a lighter, kind of more distant leaf look, that you can build up on there. And some of them were applied on the front of the vellum. So again, like the 8.5 by 11 pieces or the 11 by 17s, spray adhesive to adhere the vellum to the photograph, and then I think I mounted the entire piece on a piece of white cardstock. It's not terribly complicated, but you do have to kind of plan it out a little bit, minorly. All right, so what I was saying in the beginning of this video, I use this covered bridge, the autumn one, large stamp a lot. Okay, so this one right here, I didn't write it on the back here, but this one right here was done on the pearl printing paper. I want to say it's not a vinyl. The pearl, I think it's just a pearl printable printer paper. I think that's what you call it. But it's not a sticker paper either, I don't think, now that I think about it. I don't think it is, but it gives a really different look. Okay, and this is, I don't know if you can tell, but it has that pearl type of look to it, that shimmering. But see, this right here is where I stamped out the bridge stamp in the background, which looks like this, but that was stamped out. I don't want to grab it right here. It's like at the bottom of my stack here, but this is stamped out in silver ink on the top of that printable pearl paper, which I really like the look of. It has kind of a nice patina to it. There's a decent amount of contrast in it where it reads, just fine. I'm talking about the bridge right here, not the foreground. But, it's really reflective. So you have a reflective pearl surface, but you're using the reflective pigmenting, silver pigmenting too on there. So it makes for an interesting combination. It looks a little muted, so you can't go with like, super vibrant colors and things like that. But sometimes if you want kind of a more subdued, kind of real soft looking kind of end result, that pearl is a pretty good way to go. I need to experiment with it more because I think there were some inks that didn't work on it very well. Okay, now I think this one was from the year before, but this one was using the glow-in-the-dark printer paper. You can't, I don't know, it's not picking up real well in the camera right here, but this is that greenish kind of glow-in-the-dark look to it. But it's a glow-in-the-dark printable vinyl paper, and this stuff really glows strong. It's not like using some kind of like glow-in-the-dark ink that barely glows or anything like that. This paper is really luminous when charged up with ink. I formatted it in this piece right here. I gave it a really heavy border like this just because it was so dark like that. And I gave it this heavy kind of white border on there, thinking, I didn't even test this out, but if you charge it up with light, and you go into the dark with it. I wanted this little bit of a border around here, or a pretty substantial border to glow to pick up some of that light. You know what I mean? So you just needed a little bit more width there. That's thicker than this side, but you know, hey, I was just eyeballing all of this. Okay, yeah, try it on the Brilliance there sometime, Linda, and let us know how it works. Here's another piece right here. Look at this one right here. So photo stamping, which is just taking your stamps, stamping it on top of a photograph. But I added in the light beams into this one. I really like the look of the silver around it like that. It looks like a silver frame to me, you know, even though it's just like little matting. And this one just has some minimal, I don't know if I used, no, I did use alcohol pens on this, but just a lot of the little green and white embellishments on that, the foliage around the bridge like that. But yeah, I thought that looked pretty cool. I mean, super, super simple like that. Here's another one. When I found my silver papers, I went a little bit nuts for like 2 or 3 cards, you know, going with all the metallic framing on here. The beavers were fun, Froggy Fresh. I need to do some more beaver pieces using the beaver dam and whatnot. I need to do something with sequencing, and you know, with beaver analogs and stuff like that. You know, I've been watching so many videos on that. But Blue Star Dream, one of my favorite combinations is the lapis lazuli Star Dream papers, just with black and white inks. But again, I think that silver framing around here really, I I would, you know, I've never called like Star Dream like a shimmery paper kind of, oh, lackluster, you know, for lack of a better word. But when I started seeing, you know, some of these other papers I started working with over these last, you know, 2 years or so, it's like I think that framing kind of helped it. You know, the framing's not supposed to be like a big feature of a card like that. I mean, for us, maybe it could be, but, you know, when you're doing a scene like that, but you know, it really needed some extra bling on there. So why not, you know? On this one right here, I put the gold on here, but just a simple, I think brayered application in the back. I think that's how I did this one, you know, going across like that. Then I think I did some streaks down like that. I can't even remember. Embossed foreground. That's when I was playing around with embossing on here. I didn't think I did any coloring in here. Okay, there's the little stars right, or that's Orion right there. The belt and the sword right there. But a little bit of a highlighting throughout here. But again, I think just a really quick card right here. And, you know, it's nice and, I don't know, whatever kinesthetic, you know, when you have those raised, embossed images on there. But I think the gold really helped this one out. Okay, just a real basic scene right here with the dye-based inks, glossy cardstock type of thing. I have no idea what this scene was used for. I found a big, huge pile of scenes. I think some of them came back from the last convention with me because I have a lot of ones that you know, I really need to finish off. The Recollections Jewel Tone pack. I haven't been using this paper, so I haven't mentioned it in a long time, but it's the Jewel Tone pack of Recollections, sold at Michael's, really super inexpensive foil. And again, just instead of, you know, like the Star Dream Lapis Lazuli or something like that, doing it on top, black and white inks on top of this foil like this, and you get that really reflective surface on there with the foil. So I really like those foils quite a bit. And the cheaper aspect of them, in terms of media compatibility, works in favor for us. It's those Recollections foil packs are really cheap. It's like it's almost like paper bag or something like that type of mounting material for that metallic, foil on the top of it. And sometimes they're a little bit crack, that you can see the cracks in it, certain textures, but that makes our media able to adhere to it better than say something like the gold, super gold foil like that. Okay. So I don't like I said, they're really inexpensive. They're buy one get one free if they're still doing that all the time. They're really fun to utilize. Hello, Carolyn. Uh, Hello, everyone else that might be watching. This one is another. Oh, this one right here. I wrote this one down here. Photo paper. So this one right here was done on your just standard inkjet white glossy photo paper, okay? So I haven't been utilizing a lot of that type of thing for a lot of blending, okay? But you can use photo papers for certain types of blending. So I probably used a lot of alcohol inks on this one. I don't even remember, but I just wanted to utilize some of those other types of papers that a lot of us probably have a ton of in our supplies, so photo papers for certain types of layering right here. I really like this one right here when I did this one. I can't remember when this one was. I'm trying to remember if it was 2022 or not, but I couldn't remember. But just that here again, it is with the covered bridge, but doing a really kind of, I don't know, mystical, whimsical looking stack going up in the hills like that, with this, I don't know if you guys can see that mountain in the background, but this is an example of kind of using your values to represent depth. So it's darker down here, then it goes lighter as you move up here, because this bridge, this is full black. I guess this is full black right here too, but you're starting to get this a little bit more obscured in white pigment ink. I don't know if I wiped off some of that before I stamped it out too. And then you get this mountain in the background that's super, super light in value to represent depth. This one right here, when I did this one, it should be pointed out that this white pigment ink is the thing that really brings everything together though, because it can look kind of, I don't know, unrelated in terms of overall cohesion when you're doing these types of things like this. But then if you bring in a common texture, so it's the white pigment ink, it's the, the little highlighting dots that are, throughout this piece, layered down in here, that brings everything together from a textural standpoint. So keep that in mind. If you're ever doing these types of things like this, this one right here I did use some embossing in my foreground as well. So the foreground elements, the fence and tree limbs like this. See the tree limbs, embossed tree limbs that are actually three-dimensional actually have some of that white pigment ink over the top of it too right there. But if anything ever doesn't look kind of cohesive to you, just keep working with it. Develop your colors and things like that. A lot of times, mine do not come together, but I add those textures in. Crisp textures and soft textures like that in the form of lighter media. So paint pens and pigment ink helps every time. Solves things every time for me, at least in terms of that aspect. Kind of a figurative type of thing right here. It's not supposed to represent like true distance in here, but have these people kind of walking up in here, and here's this stack of waterfalls in here. I wanted to use that river down here. And this is just representing, now I'm starting to remember this lake area that we used to go hiking up this mountain with, next to this lake down here. But I don't know if I did this like during, I don't know, Father's Day or something like that, but it's just a little memory of that. But I say figurative because these waterfalls like this look pretty big, in relation to something like this, how it ends up here. But that's the way that creek looked. It was a small running little creek that ran up this hill that came out and fed this area called Tioga Lake down there. But that's a little memory of that. Framed off with the silver on this one again. But I think that silver helped out a lot. Hello, Caroline. Z, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. No, I think this one might have been previous year, but there's those little eyeballs in here. If you've been watching here, how I added those little eyeballs, like those little cartoony types of eyeball types of effects. But this one right here, to get this type of look in here in the background, is on vellum again. So I stamped this little figure here on the front of the vellum. And a lot of these other things are stamped on the front of it, but see this? See these branches like this? See this layering of the branches like that? Now, normally you would stamp it in full black, and then you use the same inking, and you can stamp it again, and you'll stamp out a lighter version of that object, right? But you can do this on the vellum right here. This was just all stamped in black on the front of the vellum, but then I stamped those same types of textures. I think it was the spooky tree limb. Yeah, the spooky branch right here. That was also stamped in the back of the vellum in black. But because vellum's translucent, you get that lighter value. So you can really layer kind of a denser foreground area here, but have it look deeper in space than had you stamped it all out mono value. Okay, so you can see that branch right here is also reiterated in the back there. I don't know, it's really light, but that whole island, Palm Cove in the background was stamped just in black ink right in the back right here, on the back of the vellum. Okay, so a little bit of different look right here, but the vellum's kind of different too. It looks kind of different, depending on the lighting that you have on there, because it does have that translucent surface to it. It has that real soft look to it, but yeah, it's fun to do. Okay, so here, right here, these palm fronds right here too were stamped in the front. These ones right here, you can see they're lighter. They're on the back of that vellum there too, but stamped out mono, tone, just with the full black ink. But you're just utilizing that vellum, to your advantage in terms of the usage of depth there. So, all right, so I think these ones might have, I don't know, these ones might have been from a previous year. I don't remember, but actual cards here, folded cards and whatnot here. Really simple glossy cards. I think glossy card stock, and just with your scenic sentiment types of word stamps or whatever. I couldn't remember if this one was this year or not, but I really have fun just stamping just directly on top of foils here. It looks a little weird when you just stamp just the imagery, but then when you splatter paint it with something like this, again, cohesion and texture, instead of doing it with, dot by dot with a little pen or something like this. Just doing it with a toothbrush and, getting all that texture and then like that. And then adding some larger dots. But these ones right here do have these little crystal rhinestones on here, for a little bit of extra bling. Gold foil. The Recollections purple foil, okay, like that. And I do have some like amethyst colored gems that I interspersed in here, but you have to use the clear ones, I think, too, that are a little more twinkly. But you can put these colored ones in here too. Like, see, this one's like purple, that one's purple, and that one's purple right here. That you can see they twinkle a little bit differently, like that. So I think there's a fun to do, being that we're stamping on a reflective surface anyway. You know what I mean? Add in those glitters and I don't know, what were these pens called again? Stuff like this, the Winkastella pens. You know what I mean? Add in those types of things. And like I said, I think these ones might have been from 2021 right here, but here's another one kind of going. Those ones are like really overworked, which tends to be the look of my scenes when I'm trying to figure things out. There's that bridge in the background. That was with that covered bridge one right there. But Trying to figure out how to utilize the recollections foils right here and to, create a decent amount of depth in here. I think I wasn't going to do with the black trees in here. I usually wouldn't do that, but it needed something to kind of anchor the scene off a little bit with some heavier, darker objects in there like that. But again, yeah, that Recollections blue foil is really fun to use. It comes in a multi-pack of different colors. And again, okay, so here's another one right here done on the blue. I couldn't remember if this was from this year, from the previous year. It might have been the previous year, but light beams coming across it. It's not quite as mirrored looking. I don't know if you can tell, but it has this kind of more frosted gold look to it. It's because I have this pigment ink all over here. So you pretty much have to spray seal in on this type of cardstock. In this case, the Brilliance inks, okay. The Brilliance inks will dry on here, but they won't adhere. So sometimes you have to hit it with like 2 layers of spray sealant to really get that ink to adhere to the surface. But it turns it from kind of more of a chrome type of look to more of like a brushed, I don't know, whatever gold look to it. But I still think it looks pretty cool like that, and you still get the benefit of the super reflective surface like that. A lot of white paint pen work. Printable vinyls again, starry printable vinyls. I think everyone really liked these types of videos using that because a lot of people picked some of this printable. That's the key word here. If you haven't seen these vinyls before, they're printable holographic vinyls, okay? You can do things on the holographic vinyls too, or the cold laminate vinyls. But if you want to stamp onto this type of surface right here, if you're not going with like a stays-on ink or something of that sort, that, those types of vinyls, the non-printable types, will probably only take the usage of those solvent types of inks like a stays-on or something like that. But again, the printable vinyls pretty much take any type of ink that I've tried on there, from dye-based inks, Brilliance, Stays-On, and Clair. So Stays-On are the solvent inks, the Brilliance is the water-based pigment ink, and the Clair is, representative of your oil-based pigment inks. And they all dried on there just fine. They don't have any problem on there. I thought the Clair would, but it didn't. So you can see this is sticker paper too, so this is already starting to bubble up on me right here. And that adhesive on these papers, by the way, that printable sticker papers, super, super aggressive in terms of the permanence. If I just touch this down, if I was using this to adhere, the sticker paper aspect of it, you got to get that thing right. To get that thing laid down on whatever you're going to stick it on, because then when you try to peel it off, it gets all bent up, which I've done many times. Because every time I think, okay, I'm going to try it again, but sometimes it's better to use your tape, ruler, on there instead. Yeah. Here's another one right here, just a more mellow, non-patterned holographic sticker paper right here. Okay. A lot of colored pencils down here and whatnot. Glad you like the Christmas cards, Caroline. Caroline. We got into purple trees, I think this year, was it? Just trying some different color schemes for the deciduous trees, these aspen trees right here, just done in that different color tone. It gives it more of a dreamy type of look, although there are trees out there like your jacaranda or something like that. All right, this was a pre-folded card. I think I did this previously, but if you're doing these pre-folded cards like this, or if you're just doing a regular card, use the this is where I probably did this year because that I embossed the imagery on here, but just your splatter painted background. So splatter painted background first, stamp over it, emboss, crystals up here. You know, it's just a fun little card or process like that. Just your basic card right here, formatted to look better. It looks so much better in this border around here, I think. Your crazy, crazy holographic vinyls, that new pack of it that I just played around, but look at this one right here. I've matted it in. Maybe not the best choice of colors, but I was doing so much of this matting, I had to go for something a little bit different. But look at this right here. In this holographic vinyl, this blue tone one, you do get some of these warmer tones. Here's a incandescent light on this paper right here, but this holographic papers, they reflect different, I don't know, whatever light spectrums on here, you know. Look at that, see that little bit of red in there? All right, I'm not going to get into this too much. I get caught up kind of gazing in there, but that little bit of that orangish, this is not reflecting the border around here. This surface cannot see this, but see that little bit of gold tone in there? I thought it worked with this because it, you know, that gold. So I would never put that blue with like that gold like that, but those colors are in there. So I thought it looked pretty cool. So we can use our cheap, you know, mirrored gold, you know, 60 pack of pieces like that. So just more, you know, there's that same vinyl like that done on this one right here. Really simple composition and scene right here. Just stamping your imagery in white and, you know, just letting the holographic cardstock do the work in terms of, you know, creating the whatever, 90% of the visual interest of this piece in here. So on this one right here, reflecting down in that water down there. On this one right here, just a little tip right here, I angled my splatter painting this way, so I splattered like this up here, right? And then if it's going to be reflected in this water, then you do the same thing. You do it in the opposite direction like that, right? So instead of going like this, some people would think, okay, that reflection is going to be more like this, but I think it would be more like this, right? now I'm wondering. More vertical like this. I liked it vertical like this. I think this is more effective this way. Look at that. It's like totally Northern Lights and kind of your lights in motion type of effect like that. Let me see if I... Yeah, okay, yeah, there's my incandescent light that I just turned on, but you can see that other spectrum like that. When I turn off that, most of my lights in my studio right here are fluorescent, so it doesn't capture those kind of warmer tones like that. So simple scene like that. 2 stamps, splatter painting, and the quote stamp right up there. I think, yeah, that was stamped in white right here. Spray seal these pieces though, okay? You know, after you're done. Again, it's not a printable vinyl. Here's this, another piece of Star Dream on here. Very reflective surface, but just with that silver border around there and like that. See, it's really reflective. It looks like totally anemic like that because this paper is just so reflective. The iridescent style of reflection, but that's what it kind of looks like that. But I don't know, it's kind of interactive. The only problem is, you know, when you're interacting with like that, it looks a little boring. So instead of kind of dynamic and just different, you know, you go from boring to, you know, a little bit better at least, with more contrast in there. Another piece of glow-in-the-dark sticker paper, like that. I mean, glow-in-the-dark printer paper, not sticker paper like that. I should flip off these lights so you can see it, but if you want to, you can just type in YouTube's search window, just say Stampscapes, and then glow-in-the-dark, and it'll come up with the videos, and you can kind of go to the end of the video and see, you know, when I flip off the lights in here and just how much that glows. The one thing, the problem with this paper right here, this glow-in-the-dark paper, I thought I would be able to find a myriad of paper, glow-in-the-dark paper availability, like just cheap ones, okay? But I could not find any that out there. I thought we'd be able to find like, just cheap printer paper kind of quality. But I couldn't. So I could find the glow-in-the-dark vinyl, whatever paper. It's not really paper, glow-in-the-dark vinyl, for your printer. Another piece like this, working with those glow-in-the-darks, I was kind of getting into the glow-in-the-dark. So I have these little stickers right here that came in like, like super, super cheap. But just, I think something like this is really fun, I don't know, it's kind of conducive for, if you're giving this to like a kid or something like that. I don't know if the kids are going to take, get glow in the dark something these days. Maybe if they're really young and you say, hey, there's a glow in the dark, they might say, hey, yeah, that's great. They're on their iPads and stuff like that and using those types of apps that are so much more dynamic than, a still card. But I think these cards like that, in terms of the kids and all of us, if we're giving it to another card maker, if something's glow in the dark, maybe they, check it out and they, check it in a dark closet or something like that. But just really simple like this, with those features like this. I think these pieces, like when I started going through these cards and matting them up and, mounting them, I thought the 11 by 17 would be a perfect scale for that size of star, just on a larger scene. Maybe with the art foamies, I don't know. I need to do something like that. Here's more of the covered bridge here, and this one again is done on that pearl printer paper. So kind of a different look, instead of having, that would be white like that, you have this much more reflective surface. And then when you have that like down here, even if you colored over it with colored pencils or something a little bit in there, it does have a little bit more of a dynamic sheen to it, in these open areas. A lot of these areas I've kind of blocked out the pearl aspect of it, unless it's showing through the transparent media. But these colors in here might be more reflective and illuminated than had we done it on just a piece of white cardstock. I don't know. The one thing about the surface, it's more luminous, right? But, a lot of the media doesn't adhere quite as well to this type of coated surface like this. So I don't know, maybe you can get brighter tones and more contrast with just a, piece of semi-gloss cardstock or something like that. But I like that it has a different look to it. And, I don't know, I think there's a lot of different, potential with a pearl surface, a more reflective surface, when it comes to light. Like that. Stamping on photos again, there's that bridge again, but this is on the top of, you probably can't tell because I've added so much imagery over the top of it, but it's one of my cloud photos that's been used on there. I don't know which one, but it's probably over the top of one of my more kind of monochromatic pieces, like something like this, okay? But just stamping onto something like that, and then coloring in with alcohol inks and paint pens is really fun to just start off with kind of a varied surface, as opposed to just a uniform textured one or, white. Another photo right here. Whenever I post something like this, people think that I did the cloud somehow with the use of some technique or whatnot. But, you get all that blue, that's going down here too a little bit. But you have to kind of compose around if there's a decent amount of contrast up here. But like I said, you can kind of go in there and go in and add color with your paint pens and whatnot. And it's just a really fun way to work. And, just inherently having that real kind of, organic, kind of cloudy texture up there is really fun to kind of work around. Some pieces recently using some scraps right here. Again, there's the star dream right there. This is a Stardream, I think, Plum or something like that. I did this one on here. I don't know if I'm going to format this into a card or not. You know, I usually go like this, you know, longer piece like this. It'd be like half page, you know, not on this color right here, but, you know, going to something like that. And then you can put, you know, a little quote stamp or something like that down there. It looks like God's eye or something like that. But kind of working in your more kind of diamond format like that, I think is kind of cool. I need to do that more often. I need to work on ovals. Not, I think this was done previously, but this is your Cricut cut, you know, ovals and do a little border like that, half page like that. But I love rounds and ovals and kind of unconventional types of formats, which I almost never do. But I think, you know, it can look really good. I think this is a card I've done previously in a previous year, I think. Okay. Piece. A lot of people like this, just general sky figures like this. Really simple, glossy cardstock. Image in the foreground. Quote stamp in gold like that. Matted in, you know, something gold. The Art Foamies. I spray sealed this one. It really brought out some tones like that. I need to get, I probably need to go a little bit more than a half inch because it only gave me a little, like a quarter inch of border to put around this one. But again, very large with the Art Foamies stamps. Where is that? Tree trunk right here, like that. Really utilizing the full length, almost the full length of this 9-inch stamp like that. So yeah, just working with scale. It's working with scale like no other time in my stamping history, at least. So it's kind of breaking out of the format. Here's just using a piece of a scrap piece of the silver foil like that. I thought about doing that silver around the border, but it was just too much. Gold foil. Oh, gold holographic like that. Okay. That really crazy one. God, that is so insane. Those colors like that. I left this little bit of space down here because I think I'm going to put like a little word stamp down here that says something or a quote or something like that. You know, the colors of nature always wears the colors of the spirit, or you know what I mean. Something like that would be dynamic. So when I was formatting this into a card, I left this space down here for a word stamp. But this has been spray sealed, okay? So it affected it a little bit up here. I'm finding that I need to spray seal twice, okay? So I give it a real thin coat, and I let it dry overnight or something like that, but then I hit it again on that perimeter like that. I should do this, create this dodge and burn type of wand, like something on a stick that has like a little piece of paper like this, so that when I'm spray sealing, I can cover up a lot of the foil areas where I don't want it to, you know, maybe it's just like, even if it's like 3 inches, so I'm spraying out here, I can move that little wand around. That it looked like a lollipop or something like that. When you're back in photography, you know, darkroom days, we called it dodging and burning. You know, when you'd be exposing something, you kind of, you know, have this thing that's you're holding over it where you don't want it to expose so much. And I think spray sealing would work for that. But you can see this paper like this, it's not affected too much, you know what I mean? It's bold enough to hold up against that amount of layering of whatever clear, you know, acrylic on there. I really like this scene right here. The way this one came out with the branches up above like that, but I really like the tones on here, just that softness of everything. I don't know what I did this one for either, but it's been sitting around. It just got formatted and looks so much better like that. Because I think that could be a Christmas card too. All right, another piece of vellum with the birch trees like that. Oh, on top of a photograph in the background. Oh, on this one right here, I did change the format. I'm usually going quarter page, you know, with my vellum, but I did go 4x6 because that's the, oh, no, wait, 4x6? This might be 3.5x5. It's, you know, your standard print size. I think it's 4x6 though, on this one right here, just so that it would fit the photograph that's in the background like that. But again, going with that purplish type of color scheme up there. Colored pencils down below with the cloud showing through the background where we have blocked out the birch trees in the back with the Dr. Martens bleed-proof white. All right. Alien abduction right here. I ended up just kind of matting this one in the matte black right here. I thought it looked better than the glossy dark one because these trees right here stamped over the top of all that white ink below aren't very dark. So I just thought they look a little bit more matte down here, don't they? So I just matted it off with the matte. And this is your silver UFO up here. Made from that silver cardstock like that. So fun stuff with the starry, glossy, printable vinyl sticker paper. Going with a super crazy, real shardy looking, icy one. I think this would be better in a kind of a winter type of scene because it reminds me of like ice or something like that. If someone has like a stained glass stamp, you guys should stamp. Oh, this would be perfect. You know, there's images that look like stained glass. Or there's these different segments. If you stamp that over the top of this pattern right here, I think that would look awesome. Because it looks kind of, I don't know, it looks like something. It looks like little different parts of like a glass. So this one was the You Ink It sticker paper for inkjet and laser printers. Like that, but that's one of the patterns out of this one. This one's the craziest pattern right here. I thought the starry holographic was crazy, but this one's more like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like broken glass or something like that? I don't know if it would, you know, it's something like that. Mosaic, I don't know, something like that. But I think that would be pretty cool. I like aliens too. We don't do enough alien stamping, huh, Froggy Fresh? We got to give them their due, their time. All right, this was the rejuvenation type of scene right here. Linda B went to town with this theme right here. Check out her, Linda. If you have those posted, post a link to those pieces here in the chat if you could. But this is supposed to be another customer of mine, Annie, was stamping out this, something that was to represent renewal, after fires and whatnot. And I was showing her, kind of my idea of what, she could utilize because she had just taken the light beams classes, you know what I mean? All of my different workshops and whatnot. But this is just a little sprig of leaf sprig right here in green. But I was telling someone, I think what would look really cool is to utilize three-dimensional media if you're doing something like this. If you can, you know what I mean? I don't know if it has to be a card, but if it's just meant as a visual piece that you're going to be taking a photograph of, I would get, if you have like a silk piece of leaves, or if you can go out to your garden or something like that. But if you put a little thing that, is growing like out of the ashes like that, I think that would look really cool on this type of visual right here, having something kind of coming up from the card, it's something that would if it wasn't like a silk piece of plant or something like that, if it's a real plant, then, the finished piece is actually going to be your photograph of it, as it exists in there. But I still think that would be really cool to do something, because my little leaf didn't stand out too much right there in that green. but like a real three-dimensional piece would. Yeah, we need to do more aliens, huh? A lot of people like that. There's probably some, it's probably polarizing. There's probably some people that really like it and some people really don't. That's like with Halloween pieces and stuff. The people that really like Halloween really like those monster scenes that I do. But some people are like not into it. And imagine the same things might be said for aliens. More of the printable paper right here. But look at that paper like that, used with the art foamies versions of these stamps like that. But just a lot of cloud work. I don't know if you can see it, but the colored pencil right here, that little subtle little blues in here, you know, to define some more of these edge areas like that. But just really fun stuff. Full page scene. It's hard to think of this piece right here as being something simple, but it was the clouds added, you know, with a cotton ball using the Brilliance white. You stamp over the top of it, and then, you know, those art foamies make really quick work of it. And then you color in a little bit with some colored pencil, you know, to model your rocks a little bit more. Blues, I guess, and kind of purplish tones in here. And then you take your white pigment ink again with your cotton ball and you go over the front of it a little bit to vary the image a little bit to make it look a little bit richer. And it was done, you know, so pretty quick process. I wouldn't call it a fast card just because it's, you know, it's 8.5, you know, 8.5 by 11 practically. I cut off a little bit of a border like that. But if you do this type of thing on a, you know, quarter page card or something like that, that's a fast scene and really, really dynamic because of that paper that we're starting off in. So, you know, another piece with the covered bridge with the holographic in the background like that. Done fairly recently. I don't remember when I did this one, but I thought it looked so much better when it, you know, with this little, you know, additional framing around the edge like that. But one of the things with light beams that I teach people in the workshops these days, my first beams were very solid and uniform. You know, the first time I did that, a couple times, I'd vary the width only, but see these things where you break it up, so you see some beam, and then you don't see some beam, or there's a little bit right there, a little bit more see-through down here. This beam kind of peters out right here. It looks like it's going down here, but it's because my shadow for my tree is right there too. But you can see there's less right here, and there's less right here. It kind of breaks up right there. That's those little details that I'm starting to, you know, I started to do with these light beams, you know, breaking your light beams apart. Like you don't even see like this one right here because I didn't have it there. So breaking it apart makes it look more realistic, I think. So different widths, different thicknesses in terms of applications, and actually petering out, oscillating it. Beam, no beam, beam, no beam, like that looks better. Which, yeah, and in the end, it means less work for us too, because we're not applying everything 100% in the full saturations. Here's those, I don't know, I guess if I'm going to use those covered bridges so much throughout the year, you know, why not? These were some of the final pieces that I did in 2022, 8.5 by 11, semi-gloss cardstock, using the art foamy versions of the trees right here, you know, with the standard rubber stamp size ones. But this is the one that I started off with, and I really like the composition. I really liked it just in black and white too. And it was denser than with textures than a lot of times what I do with my pieces. But again, I'm thinking about these larger, I'm still learning with these larger pieces. Full-size pieces are 11 by 17. I think making them denser with imagery could help. It certainly makes things go faster too in terms of coloring, because we don't have to fill in these big open areas, you know, if you have at least some textures on them. So I added, like, you know, all these little like filler trees in here, foreground, you know, tiny rocks, small and large, all over the place, you know, like this, even this tree like in here, those types of things on these larger format pieces. These larger format pieces can take it. If you go too crazy with a quarter page card, maybe it feels a little bit too busy. But these larger pieces, I mean, you can just take it, you know. It looks a little busy, maybe, when you first stamp it out, but when you color it in, you know, you don't have that extreme contrast between everything. Okay, so yeah, there's greens behind here. I don't know if you're even noticing, like, this little tree in here. You know, those types of things. Okay, so I like that one so much that I did the blue toned one, you know, the nighttime type of scene. So might think of this as like high noon, spring, I don't know, whatever, spring or something like that. Midnight, summertime, I don't know, whatever, moonlit, you know, in the background, kind of more, I don't know, what a mystical feeling in terms of, I don't know, whatever, silence too, you know, in terms of a sensory type of visual. This one right here, I did add the warmer tinges in here. I did go back and tweak this one a decent amount with some brighter, like, little blues in here, especially after doing this one right here. That was just so dynamic in terms of you know, kind of a sunsetty type of scene during fall, you know, fall types of foliage right here, where this one's more like spring. I thought this one was, this one just with the warmer tones and everything like that made, you know, the other ones a little bit anemic. So I had to increase some of the brightness in certain areas, okay, and make some areas a little bit darker, you know, because if they were to be displayed like sequentially or something like that, I didn't want one to just overpower. It's not supposed to be like a buildup or something like that where you go like, you know, I mean, like you know, whatever, anemic, you know, a little bit more interesting, and boom, you know, the final piece or something like that. They're supposed to all look, you know, decent in their own right. But they weren't. They were looking anemic compared to this one, you know, after I did this one. So with all those warm tones and layering like that, you know, so something, yeah, you got to go back in and tweaking away, you know. All right, so the final piece of the year with the lightning bolts like that formatted. I think this looks so much better. These pieces feel better too when you mount them on something too. You know what I mean? They're all a little bit curled and everything like that. So, and spray sealed too, you know, for more vibrance. This is the art foamy version of the Lakeside Cove. Here it is right here. It's still on my desk. So, you know what I mean? Pretty big scene, full page practically, except for I cut it off, but one stamp taking care of that whole width of a full page card. Unheard of, you know, for me previously. So really fun to do. Creature of the Black Lagoon. I think I did this one a long time ago, but here it is. Matted. So this is, you know, here's a different take on this one right here, just done on glossy cardstock. No vellum or anything like that, you know, so brighter colors and everything like that, but probably less depth, right? Hello, Diana, Happy New Year to you too. Let's see. I love the bridge in the woods. See, yeah, you did a great job on that, Linda. And let's see, who else did that one? Jeannie, you did that one too. I think I did this one in the past. I don't know if I showed this one right here. Gold Star Dream. This was probably done in 2021, I'm guessing. I really like this card though. See, this is the type of thing I need to do more of these quotes like this, and then put them on there. I'm kind of lazy, you know, to do that. I usually just stamp it right into the piece, but I need to do more of that because those word stamps really kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know if they're embellishing. It's like an equal kind of player in the piece. So after doing my Star Dream pieces with that kind of swooshy look, um, that aquamarine one that I showed way back when, I thought I would do that with the white on black paper. So I tried something like that on this one right here. This one I did mount on a piece of silver Star Dream just because this one was so silvery looking like that. So on the Star Dream, aquamarine, I think that's aquamarine, that really light blue one. We're putting black ink into a lighter surface like that. But here we're doing kind of the opposite. You're working with the negative space and going white, into black like that. So splatter painting in the background. And okay, now I can't even tell. I think maybe these white trees or these pine trees are white, but then the leafless pines are silver. I couldn't even tell that. I thought it just had a silvery look to it, but I think these three images right here are silver. The leafless ones are. Okay, well, that's why I put the silver here, I guess, from a visual standpoint. I was just thinking it was all done in white, but looks silverish. I think that was done in the silver ink too. So I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, those leafless pines are a little bit more. I think they're a little bit more opaque, but they probably are a little bit more reflective. I don't know. I can't tell. And I'm right in front of it too. So on this thing too, one of the things that I don't know, it's not really terribly apparent here, but I did go back in and add silver dots. Some of these dots up here are silver, so that when you're looking at it like that, the silver ones tend to be a little bit more reflective when you hold it up at, different angles, because it's going to be more reflective of light. So white typically stands out more from contrast, but if you have that light glaring off of a silver metallic dot, those ones are going to be more, brighter in the sky. So it's fun, fun playing around with that. If you're doing gold, you can do gold things up here. Here's the pieces done on the different colors of that super reflective foil like that. I don't think I checked on this one. Maybe I did, but I can't remember. I looked at the incandescent on this one. Oh, there's the incandescent light on there. Look at that warmer orangish yellow. Look at that green right there. You can see the green down here too. So there's the incandescent light, by the way. And there's the fluorescence. Look at that. This one right here has that like laser beam that's not even there without the incandescent light bulb on it. But anyways, I think these look pretty cool in any type of lighting like that. Super simple in terms of the composition. I have to do these in a mirror card. I don't know if maybe I already did. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm glad you like those. That composition, though, Linda, with the bridge in the woods, that was, your pieces came out fantastic. All right, here's another one of these. That paper is really something to behold. It's kind of hard to tame, though. So I found that stationary, I don't know, I might have some dust on this. Those stationary stars up in the sky like that hold the piece together, I think, up here because they're static. They're not moving around like these colors are constantly on this like super crazy cardstock, holographic cardstock. This one's the gold, by the way. There's a gold pack, and it just says gold, but the gold pack has the red and the... what are the colors are in there? I can't even remember now. The red. And there's two other colors in there. Okay, I can't remember when I did this one. Another like bookmark right here. I think that this one was this year, but I don't remember. Yeah, with the islands going back in the distance like that. Oh, here's another one of those beaver dam pieces. The 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 10. I think this one might be from the previous year though. No, it is. No, it is 2022. I dated it right there. Aspens, aspens at the pond, beaver pond. Those beavers really love aspen trees, for sure. Chopping those, they chop down everything, but they really love aspens. Another piece like this. I don't know, ochre, right? I don't know what, that's not ochre, a goldish tinge like that. I can't remember what was specific about this one if I did something on here. Maybe it's on a piece of matte cardstock or something like that. But it was using the new stamps at the time of the, I think this was the maple leaves or something like that. Maybe with the wrong trunks, you know, but hey. Oh, playing around with the different textural variations in the backgrounds, seeing what I could do with the Art Foamies stamps again on these initial tests like that. Spraying my background colors to go for that real watercolory look. I like doing that on smaller pieces too, but I just thought, you know, maybe these Art Foamies, you know, just that they're so bold, we might be able to do like crazier backgrounds, you know, because we have imagery that's large enough in scale, at least, to hold up against kind of more like a busier background activity. But that's what I was wondering about when I was doing these pieces here. So I just wanted to see that. I don't know if on this one I used my metallics. I did use my metallic inks right here too, which are these types of, or the pearl inks, pearlescent, you know, those types of inks. I streaked some of those down here. So I busted some of those out in my experiments right here. And say there's Orion again, I think. Yeah, that's the belt. Yeah. And these out here. Not exactly. If Laura's on here, she, you know, they're like astronomers. But here again, 11 by 17 light here. And then you can see all those. I'm going to have to show it this like this because you can't even see it like this. But there's a lot more of those kind of pearlescent types of inks up there on the sky. Just going for something kind of nuts, you know. Doing this real watercolory type of background, which I do not do like ever. So trying to play around with it because again, I have bold enough imagery that can, you know, block out my inabilities, weaknesses and whatnot. Those there's iridescent faints. You can see all those pearlescent, I guess, not iridescent, but pearlescent inks in there. I need to use those more often, you know, because I like that reflective type of quality to them. And I think I could use them kind of a little bit more sparingly in, you know, your standard card size pieces. You know, I bought these inks because they really kind of appeal to me in terms of their reflective types of qualities. I love light coming off of the papers that we're working with. So using things that are reflective and shimmery, like the printable vinyls and the holographics, those are really exciting. The foils and whatnot. But, you know, there's certain things that we can do on, you know, a piece of white paper that you can't do on, you know, papers that are inherently patterned, come with a certain color or whatnot, and that can take as many different types of media as just a piece of, you know, semi-gloss cardstock or matte even. But, you know, if we want to add in those types of things, those little reflective types of qualities that those other types of papers can provide. But maybe in specific areas you can hit, like there's a little water right there. Maybe that's too little right there, but I do have the media. Oh yeah. Here it goes. Right here. Here's the more of the white pearl one. That's kind of more clear. Here, you can't tell right here, but it looks white. But it's a little bit more iridescent. Like if I poured that out, it would look like a piece of, I don't know, white star dream paper probably. But I think we can go in and take a brush with something like this. And go into things like water and add those little types of reflective types of features back into something like this too. I wouldn't, mind going and kind of scumbling, some of these little types of clear. I guess it would be like painting on, what it would be akin to is, I think, kind of going in and adding like a wink of Stella type of effect, in certain areas. It's kind of, those wink of Stellas, they're real transparent and, they're not overpowering to something, but it'd be kind of like doing something like that with something, with a liquid ink, or paint instead of the wink of Stella. I don't know what wink of Stella is in terms of the binder in it, but real subtle or something like that. You can get a little bit of shimmery types of touches. I would do it in the trees, capturing a little bit more of a light or something like that. And I think in the grassy areas, I don't think I would make I wouldn't make the road shimmer or something like that, I don't think. Although you could, if you're doing something like a yellow brick road type of thing and you want this to be kind of this magical type of thing going off into the distance, you can make that road kind of shimmer where it looks like this, but then someone holds it up to the light and it kind of glows a little bit more. I think that would be kind of interesting. Or I don't know. Yeah, you can do little things like that. Or if you're doing something that just maybe inherently not so, super dynamic, like like a grayscale piece or something like that, but you want a little bit of extra eye-catching, type of quality to areas or objects, maybe something like this. I'm just thinking out loud right here. So, yeah, I need to utilize these things a little bit more. I don't know. I don't have any resolutions for 2023 in terms of stuff. It's just been a lot of the stuff, it comes across my desk and I just start using it. And I don't think about it, because I didn't know it was around or whatever. I got a lot of the stuff that, that I thought that I should be utilizing in the past, implemented this year in the embossing, which I need to do more of these days, and like the utilization of stays on inks on especially the mirror cards, so that really solved a lot of the issues with the mirror card imagery down below on that silver cardstock like that. I don't have to spray seal this type of thing anymore. my camera's having a hard time finding the exposure here, because this is like it's like a piece of chrome, or very, very mirrored here. You can see my camera's silhouette up there. But yeah, certain things like that really addressed some issues like that. So this area right down here, if you spray seal it, it becomes a little bit more frosted. Like I was showing, if you were watching this video earlier with the gold, it tends to look a little bit more frosted looking if you spray seal it. So if you want a mirror card to be super reflective, then the less coverage, the better. So this is like an old mirror card right here, but yeah. You can have it more mirrored, like, I think this is from 2021 right here, with the red barn reflected down here. So anyways, yeah. If anyone wants me to, try something out or whatnot, let me know. We do take requests. That lightning scene, The last scene from 2022 was a request, so I'll try to get around to it. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't, someone says, hey, can you do a demonstration on oxides, we're gonna pass that one on, or you know what I mean, stuff that I haven't used. Maybe I should try the oxide inks this year. I don't even have an oxide pad. Maybe I'll buy some and test them out and see what we can come up with those. But from the examples that I've seen, there's a lot of, there's probably a gazillion videos out there of people utilizing those oxides in different ways too. I don't know if they're using it in scenic stamping in terms of a demonstration or something like that, but I'm sure there's tons and tons of oxide examples out there posted, finished pieces. So and those ones look really great. But yeah. And one of the things I want to do too, I don't know how practical this would be, but I want to do some live streams where it's like, all right, first person to throw out some suggestion, that's what I'm going to do. But the only problem with that is, I'm going to go on live and it's like, okay, what scene should we stamp out? You know what I mean? And then if I take a request, then I got to go and get the stamps, I got to go get organized. So I don't know, maybe we can do something like that. Or first person to type it in, it'll just be known. And then I'll just, we'll see in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. And I'll come up with something. So I think that might be fun. So anyways, that was my little recap of 2022. It's not everything like I was saying, but maybe we'll do like a small recap of some of those mirror cards. I have some mirror card pieces that I did that I forgot that I did before. And some of them I came across like two of the same type or a look or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, I did like videos probably at different times that almost looked the same, but I forgot that I did it. You know what I mean? They might have been 2 weeks apart. I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, we'll have to do something like that. Hello, Yvonne. Let's see. Caroline's used distress oxides for regular stamping. I like that you show us what works on glossy card bases. Got it. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll come up with some new formats here. I want to come up with something a little bit more consistent too in terms of a certain day or whatever. Maybe it'll be like by request, whatever, Tuesdays or something like that, where someone just comes up with a scenario. They'll say, all right, we want to see don't get too specific, but you say, do a scene of a lake at sunset or something like that, or an ocean scene, whatever, at under the Northern Lights. I don't know. Those are some examples. I can't even think of anything right now, but we'll try to do something like that, I think. And we'll see if I can come up with something on the spot. I'm coming up with all this other stuff on the spot too. I'm not like pre-planning like almost anything. And I usually just come up with it like, I don't know, 10 minutes before I go on. I'll just think, okay, well, I have this big catalog of stuff in my head that I want to get around to anyway. So it's just doing it. But I think something by request is fun too sometimes. It's a challenge to me sometimes because it might be something that I haven't thought about before, But yeah. All right. So anyways, that's it on this live stream. Thanks for checking these out with me. See, don't these pieces look better spray sealed like this and with this little bit of a border around it, So again, just spray mounting your larger pieces. It just feels better too, I think. But again, spray sealing. So I don't know if you guys have seen these ones yet, but not to extend this video for too long, but see, these ones there's a ton of colored pencils right here on these trees. Okay, now there were colored pencils throughout all these trees too, but some of it a little bit less so. So some of it has like this waxier buildup in certain areas, but when you spray seal it, it gives kind of a uniformity to it a little bit more in terms of continuity, because it can, there's certain types of things where there's textural differences that are good. You know what I mean? Certain things that stand out better than others, but I don't think you want it too much with certain types of things in scenes. So the spray sealing on here just, it unifies it. And plus the saturation of tones in here and depth of color just get so much more extreme anyway. And then, you know, when you have this like, big floppy piece of paper, if you spray mount it to it, you know, just another piece of paper. Like I went through a ton of my Mohawk Everyday Digital silk, but I was thinking, what I was saying earlier, most of the semi-gloss papers that I've worked with, if not all of them, I think literally all of them, I've been telling people, for me, are all about the same in terms of their consistency and how they take media. I don't see very much difference with, I don't know, I think I've used 5 different types so far, and they all work the same to me over the years, where the glossy cardstocks can be quite a bit different. But anyways, you know what I mean, spray sealing these and whatnot, I think it just looks so much better. Especially if you have used, you know, a lot of different types of media on them. And if not just for the color saturation and, you know, protection of the overall coating. And then if you want to, you can go back in there if, you know, if you want to add more stuff, things to it. Can't really add certain things in there, but alcohol inks, your acrylic paint pens, white pigment ink to an extent, the acrylic for the colored pencils, maybe not so much, but everything else, if you want to kind of go in and enhance things a little bit more, it'll take, the acrylic coating will take media to an extent. And again, it just depends on what media you're wanting to do, but it'll bring that consistency to it. And then just spray seal it again. If you do other layers in between or after spray sealing, you can kind of embed media in between 2 layers of acrylic coatings, or 3 or 4. You know, don't go too nuts with it, because after you get a certain buildup of that acrylic, it tends to get more of like a powdery type of frosted look to it. You know, it's still clear, but at certain angles, it's going to have much more of a frosted look to it, because you have like fine little bits, you know, microscopic little bits of acrylic that are flying around, right? It's not like some liquid, you know, brushed on type of thing. So just, you know, I wouldn't go with more than like 3 layers or something like that of acrylic spray, you know what I mean? If you're going to be doing that thing where you're embedding it in there. Oh, thanks, Debbie. Glad you like it. Yeah, just a little recap of some stuff and showing people, you know, the finished look on these scenes, you know, the other ones that I did too. Spray sealed and then, you know, framed off or whatever, card formatted from, I don't know, what I usually do. I started doing formatting my scenes that I was doing in the videos. I'd put it into a card, but I don't know, I stopped doing that. I probably should do that, because people want to see the applications of scenes too, you know, with a quote or whatever, word stamp and whatnot. A lot of these pieces too, by the way, where it is just more of like a, you know what I mean? It's more of a postcard type of thing. What I'm going to do on these things, I'm not completely done with these, but I'm going to take out my scenic stamping quotes, and I'm going to, if there is like a appropriate quote, which there are for most of these, I'm just going to stamp it right on the back. So it's not like a folding card, but these postcard things, you just stamp it in the back like that. You know, your whatever word stamp or whatever that you're going to be putting in there. Or in a scene like this, you can do like little embellishments. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but you know, like these little plants down here that, you know, surfer like that, you can do, you know, a quote stamp like that, you know, put a couple of those little foliage, little bits like right here, something like that, you know, for a little bit of visual continuity between front and back like that. Or you can do that moon up here like that, and quote stamp below it or something like that would be kind of interesting. Or you can do, what would be interesting is like footsteps in the sand, if you can do something like that. So you just draw little things like that. So anyway, you know, I mean, it can go on and on. It's endless, right? You know, in terms of things like that. These pieces like this, I'm not going to put a, you know, word stamp on the back of them, not these huge ones, because I don't really see them as like a card or a, you know, postcard like that. Let's see. Do you take pictures of scenes that you like and recreate them? Uh, Almost never, Rhonda. I have taken pictures of different places, but I don't ever. I almost never. I wouldn't say I never, because there was these like pictures of Maine that I took. All right, that I'm using the island set for, and like I've done like as a matter of fact, I did that. Um, okay, so here's some other 11 by 17s right here, but this one like right here. This one specifically, I did this like a few years ago. Um, but this one right here, I wanted to represent this hike that I went on in Maine, in Acadia National Park. And this type of these islands, you know, going back in the distance like that totally reminded me of that hike that I did. So, you know, you start off at like that, you know, some area down here, but here's this lake that went around this way. But then there's this trail that or I don't know if I started over here. I thought I started like in an area like that, but it's a trail goes along this thing, and you come over here, and then you go up this ridge line. It's not. It looks like a big hike, but it wasn't. It was like I don't know, a mile and a half or something like that, with I don't know, 300 feet of elevation gain or so, I don't know, whatever. But this is like an example of that. So you can say I don't do that too often. So like this one specifically stood out to me. I can think of all the times when I've done scenes, but I might be going for something, if anything, that kind of captures the spirit of areas that I've been to. You know, so like that hike. I don't know if you were on here earlier, but I was showing this hike up around Tioga Lake that I used to take with my dad. After we'd get done fishing in the lake, we'd always want to go up the hill. So there was this creek that was. So there are things like that, or more memories of areas. You know, if I'm doing anything in terms of creating something specific, it's more in the designs that I'm doing than the scenes that I'm doing. Okay. So I want to do something that, you know, is representative of, you know, rock in Yosemite, El Capitan or something like that. That might be in the rock, but when I'm using that rock, I'm not usually trying to do, you know, Yosemite Village or something like that with, you know, El Capitan towering above it. I'm not trying to recreate that so much, but I'm trying to go for the spirit of it, you know, that the feeling that I get from looking out there at that type of thing. But that one right there that I just showed, that was like specifically, you know, kind of Maine memories. Did I name? I might have named it Maine Memories. It sounds familiar now. Memories of Maine or something like that. I think I titled one of my videos that. But that's a good question, though. I mean, like I said, you know, there have been some things that I've done that with. Do you have a card with a snowstorm? I do, Caroline. It was that one. I usually do it. The snowstorms that I've done have been a lot of things. I have it buried in that big pile right there right now, but it's on those ones where I'm doing like something on the Star Dream where I'm doing those really swooshy types of things because it looks like the wind to me. And then I'll splatter paint, like try to in that direction, you know, like, you know, where there's like snow kind of, you know, you want to capture that spirit of the movement of that snow. Speaking of snowstorms, whether you just ask Jeannie right here. Jeannie, you need to put that your stuff up on your Flickr account. You know, all your scenes. Jeannie does like great weather. You know what I mean? She's a stamp expressionist. That's what we That's the term for her. But there's a lot of there's a ton of you know, Dr. Martens going on in there. So yeah, with my stuff, snowstorms, I don't do too much like in a scene like this, but I love it in that stardream paper because of the movement that I can get in my color applications on there, you know, and then I follow suit with my splatter painting on there. But yeah. See, I tell it would be so convenient, Jeannie, if they were all on your Flickr account. Now I don't know if everyone's on Facebook. I mean, Jeannie's got all her pieces on Facebook too. Linda's starting to posting all of her pieces on Flickr now too, if you want to see some of those pieces. But yeah. Yeah. Not everyone does Facebook, you know, here. So it'd be great if you do, you know, scenic stamping, you know, just get the free version of that Flickr account and post them up there because we'd like to be able to share pieces and whatnot. You know, there's people that do a lot of things way better than I do. You know, if I do them at all, you know what I mean? So when you say hey, go check out that, you know, like that I don't know, some of these sequential pieces that like Linda's doing too, you know what I mean? Check out things like that. So things like you know, I need to do more things like this. Working in kind of series. I want to do more of that. That by the way, that's one of those things I want to do in 2023 more. Showing different versions of a given composition, you know, so I think I'll do that a little bit more often because this one was really fun to do from piece to piece. And it was somewhat challenging, especially making these two reasonably different from each other. Okay. When I started doing it, it's like, oh, these two are looking a little bit too much the same. So it was when I really changed the colors of those trees using I think it was the alcohol pens that did it a lot. And then the paint pens, of course. And then I just jacked this one up right here with more of that. I think it was ochre or something like that to really make that area warm and kind of glowing. But then after I did that, it made these other two look really anemic and boring. Which in turn, you know, made me go back and reassess these ones, which is a good thing, you know, because I added more things to it. I should probably do something like pink flowers in here or something like that and go a little bit bolder to make this one look more indicative of spring, I think. So like I said, I'm not completely done with all of these here. I might do some additional little things here and there. And then as I do something on one piece, sometimes, you know, like this, it's like, you know, I go and reassess some of these other pieces that I'm looking at. I don't like to go back and do too much stuff because when I'm done with these most of the times. But it seems like I'm reassessing these, especially these larger pieces, you know, the art foamies ones. You know what I mean? They're like posters, so I don't know, I could see them from the other side of the room if they're on the top of the pile. And, you know, if I keep looking at it like for a few days in a row, it's like, yeah, I need to go in there and, you know, improve on whatever, you know, or see what I can do with something. So that's being done. But yeah, sequencing like this. So I talk about people recommending that to people that they, you know, do that. A lot of times if I see their pieces over time, I think, you know, one of the things that they should do is they should do, you know, whatever, 4 different looks of the tree, you know, for the 4 seasons or something like that, or do something in sequence. So when I see it, and every time everyone, you know, people that do that, I think they respond amazingly. You know, some of those pieces are some of my favorite pieces that I've seen. You know, it's almost like throwing out the challenge out there, and it gets the creativity going or whatever, and it just really reflects in the pieces in terms of so whatever visual narrative goes or whatever. It's really fun to see for me too, seeing other pieces like that. But we need to get those posted out there, you know, so everyone else can check them out that aren't on Facebook. Let's see. Marta still playing catch up on some of the past videos. Yeah, just check out the intro video playlist. You can just pour through it. Put it on the background when you're whatever making dinner, and you can watch through. You can watch 30, let's see, 20 to 30 of the past videos in 1 hour. Those are my favorite videos, the ones where I'm not talking and I just, you just see the scene developing really fast at 4 times the speed with sound effects too. All right, Calvin, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Happy New Year, Marta. Good to see you. Caroline, I'm learning learning that you layer your colors. Yeah, layering is definitely the thing in terms of visual richness, but also ease of application when you don't go from like white to dark blue, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like in a case like this, if you work it through the lighter tones, you'll end up with a kind of a richer surface, especially if it's transparent media like dye-based inks, alcohol inks, colored pencils, or something like that. You build it through those tones like that. And you can also think about it in terms of like something like from thin to thick. That's the process that you do in a lot of different types of oil painting types of processes. You go very thin layers of washes, then you're painting with thin layers. Then you kind of go more into impasto. You're using your palette knife or something like that, you know what I mean, to build up extra tones. So when it comes to what we're doing here, dye-based inks, alcohol inks, completely watery, right? And then you can move into thicker media like colored pencils. Those are thicker than, they're waxy. And then you can move into things like acrylic paint pens, and then things like pigment inks. Pigment inks are very surface oriented. They're thicker than dye-based inks, right? So you can think about from light to dark and from thin to thick. Not with everything, but if you're, doing stuff like this, where you're going with multimedia, that's, a good way to go. And it just makes the process so much easier. I wouldn't say faster because you're building things through, but when things are just kind of incrementally, coming into resolution or something like that, focus, it's just so much more of an incremental jump from one media to the next, one color to the next, one value to the next, And it's not all lost, because when you add those thicker things over the top of it, the lighter things that you've already applied are going to show through it, especially when you spray seal it, it gets that amount of richness. So it's not like just, you were just doing it to make things easier for yourself. You benefit from that additional layering in terms of visual depth, If you want that look, some scenes that we do, like, just white on, gold foil or something like that, we're not going for like, visual depth or something like that. We're just going for textures, which is a different type of thing. But if we're talking about colors, yeah, layer them. And that's how you achieve that amount of depth, especially in your shadow areas. Let's see. Jeannie still needs to do a tornado. That you're going to do that one on a. We need to get you a piece of. Oh, so Jeannie, who was it? Linda? One of you guys were doing something on Bristol board. Was that you, Linda B, or I don't know? Maybe it was Jeannie. I don't know. One of you guys, someone on Facebook, did a Bristol board. So what I was thinking about was, I didn't even think about that. I was always thinking about in terms of papers, but you get things like illustration board from an art supply place, and you can go for like a hot press illustration board, which is going to be somewhat akin to, I wouldn't call it a semi-gloss paper, because I don't know if those illustration boards are coated. I don't think they are, but some of them are really smooth. But you can go for something like, if you want to go for a bigger, like 20 by 30 or something like that, you can also get those big pieces and cut them down too. 40 by 60, go, what is that, 15 by 20, whatever, those quarter pages, you can have it, you can cut it down. If you have an art store near you, you can cut it down in store too. But yeah, I can see you doing a really large tornado piece, Jeannie. Get a nice big piece of cardstock or something like that, or like a 11 by 17 illustration board for that. Hot press, or you can do it on cold press too, but that's more textured. I think you'd do better on a hot press board, something nice and smooth for your imagery, and then you can go to town with your. You might need to move to like a instead of the bleed proof white. If you move into like really big pieces, go with what is that? What is that big tube of white paint that everyone uses in painting? Titanium white. That's what it is. You might need to get a big tube of titanium white. You may get that anyway, unless you're already doing that. But I don't know. Those things used to be really inexpensive, and all we used to use that all the time for our painting, oil painting. I think maybe even watercolors or something like that too. I thought it was water based. I think I don't know if titanium white is an oil based one or not. I don't remember. Yeah. Tweaking there. Got to tweak away. Stampers as tweakers. My side keeps cutting off. Sorry, what? Oh, sorry, Caroline. Yeah. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. You can watch the replay on there. But yeah, just layer like that. Yeah, okay, yeah, Linda B. Yeah. That Bristol. That Bristol's an excellent thing. And then, of course, it's going to be dimensional and thick, too. So perfect for that. Yeah. Uh-oh, slobbering on the phone. Don't let it get it. I hope your phone's waterproof, water resistant. All right, folks. Thanks for joining in here. I think I'm going to do a little recap. I guess I want to go and see some of my mirror cards too. I did a ton of mirror cards. I was shocked, and some of them I didn't finish off either. I have the I didn't adhere the pieces in yet, so I need to do that. Here is one right here. Here, I didn't glue this down, tape this down yet, but these mirror cards sure are fun. Look at that Northern Lighty type of thing right up there. So I need to go and check that out. But look at that. Look at that mirroring down there on the water's surface. It's so weird with this like super crazy holographic right here. So we'll do a little bit of a recap of this one too. The mirror card recap edition. All right, I hope it doesn't grab when I click off here. Sometimes the whatever YouTube grabs. I want this to be the thumbnail right here that it creates automatically, not that mirror card little swipe that I just showed in there. Okay, so Froggy Fresh has the Bob Ross brand of titanium white. I didn't even know there was a Bob Ross brand of paints out there. I missed that coastline up there, Marta. Oh, I think I was mentioning I came across that this channel. There's a channel on YouTube, okay, and it has just various live feeds, 24 hours a day, of different areas. So I was watching some of there's one camera that's pointed at Katahdin, and then there's another one, I think, of I came across this different feed of these deer feeders, where they're eating, during the winter time. I don't know, it's like local oats or something like that. There's like these troughs of oats. So I was watching, I was mesmerized watching deer eating oats last night on a live feed, and I'm pretty sure it was Maine, I think. So, yeah. Glad you liked it, the Slow Crafter. Thanks so much for joining in. Thanks as everyone, like I said before, thanks so much for checking out these videos throughout 2002. And yeah, it's been fun kind of going back over some of these pieces again. And like I said, improving them here too with the spray sealing of all of the ones that I needed to do, and getting them, even if it's just this little, mounting like this, it just makes it feel so much better. I think it looks better too because these things are nice and flat too when you just put it on something like that. I guess if you really wanted to, you can put it on some sort of, I don't know, board, or like cheap illustration board or mounting board or something like that. If you want to make it even more, stiffer or something like that, it would be kind of cool on these, especially these larger pieces like that. So, yeah. All right, folks. Thanks again. Have a great rest of day, evening, whatever time it is for you. And maybe we'll see you on that on the mirror card recap. All right. Thanks again.